My name is Alexandria Williams. I go by Allie. I grew up in Alaska, then I went to college in Indiana at a school called Rose-Hulman Institute of Technology. Now I'm going to graduate school at Yale for a PhD in cell biology.
What motivated you or inspired you to go into your field?
Okay, so my story, my route is actually a little convoluted. So when I was in high school, I was really fascinated by tissue engineering. So I actually went to college to be a biomedical engineer. Now, where I went to college was a very engineering-focused school. But their biomedical engineering program was a little bit more biomechanics-focused than what I was looking for. So I switched to biology instead. And as a biology major, I ended up having a lot of experience with microbiology and pathogenesis. And so eventually I ended up in pathogenesis. So I'm in the cell biology department at Yale, but I work in a lab in microbial pathogenesis working on bacteria that cause disease.
What were your first few steps that you took to pursue your career?
So I think that the very first important step is exploration. So I explored a lot of options along the way. I guess the very first things I was doing was looking at kind of the research in the state of biomedical research at the time. And then when I got to college, taking different classes, both in my major and outside of it, so that I could see kind of what the options are around. I did a lot of research in college into double majors and minors and that kind of thing so that I could get more knowledge about what was in the field. But I think that the biggest thing is that when I was in college, I had the opportunity to do research outside of my school for 2 summers. And that really had a really big impact. So I spent one summer at the University of Wisconsin-Madison in the plant pathology department, again working on a pathogenic bacteria that infects very important food plants. And then I've spent a summer at Stanford working in the developmental biology department on a different kind of bacteria that doesn't cause disease, trying to figure out how it works, how its life cycle works. So I think that was one of the most important things that led to me being here at Yale.
Tell us about your job. What are some of your responsibilities and what's the environment like in your workplace?
Yeah. So I'm a graduate student at Yale, and when you're a graduate student, especially PhD students in the sciences, it's a very there's like a really big focus on doing research. So and in my job, I do a lot of bench work. So that involves a lot of just doing experiments in the lab. What can be great and can be bad about this is that every lab is very different. So it depends on who your boss is. So every lab has a different principal investigator or PI who's kind of your boss, as well as the other people around you. Are these people who are willing to help you? Are they not? I think that my coworkers are really great, but I guess there's no really but there. So I really enjoy my work environment. Yeah.
What has been the most rewarding thing about your career?
So what's really great about science is that as a scientist you have the opportunity to kind of create more information for the world. So you are bringing new knowledge into the world in some way. And that's really exciting. As a graduate student, I've had the opportunity to teach a lot, and I find teaching very rewarding. I've been able to teach both Yale students, Yale freshmen in a Fundamentals of Biology course, and high school students during the Yale Young Global Scholars summer program.
And how do you maintain positivity and motivation despite the obstacles or barriers?
So science can be really challenging a lot of the times because it's very slow. It's infuriatingly slow at times. You'll do the same experiment over and over and over again, and almost it feels like you're never going to get results. And you never know, like, is this going wrong because I'm messing something up, or is it going wrong because this is actually physically impossible? It's really hard to figure that out, so it can be really hard to keep going in the middle of this. But what you have to do is you just have, if you are really deeply excited about what you're doing, you'll still keep coming to your lab and doing it over and over again despite the challenges.
So what motto or core values do you live by?
Model or current values? Well, I really value, and part of why I'm a scientist, because I really value knowledge, and I really value the truth, and I think that science is or should be a pursuit of the truth. So that's part of why I'm here. That's also part of why I'm really interested in teaching, is because I think that it's really important for the next generation to also be very science literate and to focus on the pursuit of knowledge and the pursuit of the truth.
So what kinds of obstacles are in store for today's young women? And what are some words of advice that you believe will help girls today overcome these obstacles?
So it can be hard just because the sexism is real, no matter who argues with you about this. The best word of advice that I have is to try and find people who kind of believe you. You know what I mean? You need to be surrounded by people who believe you. And there are like really amazing scientists out there who are really devoted to fighting sexism and to bring gender balance. So surround yourself by those people and not the people who are making nasty comments that end up on the news about how women aren't supposed to be in science. I think that the best thing that you can do is really make sure that what you're doing is something that you really, really love, and something that you're going to keep doing even when it's hard. That's the best advice that I have. If you are doing something that your entire soul is not 1000% into, once it gets hard, you just won't want to do it anymore. So just try and find that passion. I guess that's a very like millennial thing to say, but that's the best advice I have.
If you could meet someone living or dead, who would it be?
I'd really like to meet Marie Curie. I think that'd be really amazing. She's a really incredible scientist. I think that her story is kind of tragic because she was the best. She was one of the best researchers in her time on radioactivity, and she died because of it. That's so sad to me. And she's one of the only women who's won a Nobel Prize in physics. There are only like 2 women who have ever won a Nobel Prize in physics. I think that she's the only woman who's won 2 Nobel Prizes. She's really inspiring, and I think that her life was really cut short, and I'd love to meet her, yeah.
And in your free time, what are your hobbies?
So my hobbies are pretty classic nerdy stuff. I like to read a lot. I've been reading Song of Ice and Fire, which is the book series that Game of Thrones is based on. Still haven't started watching Game of Thrones yet. I'm getting there, but I'm finishing up A Song of Ice and Fire right now. I play a lot of video games on my computer. A lot of Pokemon Go. You know.
And last question, if you had a superpower, what would it be?
I'm gonna say flying this time, just because it's a beautiful day outside, and if you could fly around today, that'd be really awesome. But on a day when it's rainy, I would probably pick something else.